Hello, scrappers, recyclers, and investors who are interested in stocks that surround the world of scrapping and recycling. Welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, where every week we talk about precious metals, industrial metals, stocks. We have a safety note and a business note, and a few other things that pop up every now and then. Now, I've been told that I need to wait about 30 seconds or so before I start talking because of the ad play and stuff like that in the front. That's going to be weird to figure out. I'm going to have to work on that one. I think in the meantime, I'm just going to leave the intro so that the useless part of the intro is done before you all can start hearing me talk or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it's great to be here with everybody today. Truck Fan 542, Florame, JR Cat, Bush Dog, Scrapping Irish, David Philly. Great to have everybody here today. See you scrapping, watching on the TV again. Man, I can't imagine how ugly I look on TV. E-Waste, Mike, awesome. Great to have you here, sir. I see everybody saying hello. Welcome. All right. We have got some fun stuff to talk about today. Two of everybody's favorite metals, gold and copper, are up for the schedule today. And we have some other interesting things to come along with it. Plus, the stocks that we're talking about today are questions that I got from you all asking me about various companies and stuff over the last several live streams. So this should be a lot of fun today. All righty, now. Truck Fan, as far as I know, we got 3 stops today. We got Shark Scrapper Live. Scrapping Irish will be coming up right after me, and then Sollers will be on right after Irish with her premiere. So, and for those of you that don't understand, that don't know, Everyday Sollers does her video as a premiere so that she can get it all set up and recorded and stuff like that, but then interact with the audience while it's playing. So that's her approach to being able to show recycling, scrapping, and stuff like that, and be able to interface with the audience. So all 3 are loads of fun and should be a fun afternoon, evening, depending upon where you are. Without any further ado, let's get right into our precious metal discussion for the day. We're talking gold. So here we are with our 24-hour, and you can see that gold is not down, but it's only down 0.44%. So it's not like this is killing anybody, right? But still it's down. We don't like it when it's down. If we look at the 3-day, we can see that gold did this weird plateau thing again, dropped, and is now in another plateau for a while here. So, hey, Electronic Scrapper, great to have you here. So, we're seeing kind of pattern that we've seen now for a while with gold in the plateaus and drops and plateaus and such. If we take a look at the week, well, those plateaus kind of get washed out, and now what we're seeing is a bit of churn. So you can see gold dropped, recovered. It's kind of a plateau there, but then dropped, recovered, kind of a plateau, dropped. So, overall it's down 0.7% for the week. Again, that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when you're talking, $2,000 plus an ounce, 7% can add up. So we're down from 20.50 an ounce down into the 20.35-ish an ounce, 20.37 an ounce. So, we don't like seeing that stuff go on. What do we got here going for the month? All that jaggedness of the churn sort of washes out a little bit, but overall here, this is good news for the month, is up 0.47 at, up 0.4%, right? That's not a whole lot. So 3 months, we're up 2.29%. So that's pretty nice. We like to see that. And here you can see what, let's actually try to click on the button, and we can see that we can get that nice upward arrow going there. So that's always nice to see with the gold. Leandro, welcome. Great to have you here. So for the quarter, gold is looking pretty good. How are we doing year to date? So year to date, we are, and by the way, for those of you that sometimes you may scratch your head and go, what do we mean year to date? When you hear people talk year to date, it's like that means it's from the 1st of January to where we are now. So you can see right back here, we got the 1st of January, and then we go up to here. So that's different from a 1 year look, which is looking 365 days in the past. Just, I'm sure most of you know that, but sometimes these terminologies can get, some people can miss them. So year to date, gold is down. But if we look at the 1 year, gold is up. So that's pretty nice, up 5.17%. So, that's nice. We like seeing gold up like that. Now, what does all this mean for us? Let's get back here to the week, because what we're really worried about as scrappers is what are our scrap yards going to do about our scrap? Are they going to raise the prices, lower the prices? Where are we going to stand? My belief would be that your yard is probably going to hold prices. They might decide to drop here because they're seeing a little bit of softness in the price here. I mean, we're up for the month, we're down for the week. For the 3 month, it's up. And remember, most of your yards, they have to look 3 to 4 months down the calendar because they're not, they don't get paid right away. We take stuff into a scrapyard and we get paid that day, whether it's cash or check or transfer. Most of your yards, they have to hold the stuff until they have a large enough load. Then they ship that load to the mill or their buyer, who then has to sample that load and then pay them. So it could be another 3 or 4 months. And, depending upon when the load gets sampled and such, the prices can change. So your yard is looking, at least a quarter down the calendar and assessing what's the risk associated with the current price. I don't see a whole lot of changes coming anytime real soon here for things like our boards. But if anything happens, we might see a little bit of a decrease. Bottom line, for your electronic scrap, I would not hang on to your boards when you have enough of it to make it worth selling for you. And, that depends on what works for you. Maybe it's a plastic bin. Maybe it's a full Gaylord box. Maybe it's a wheelie bin full of material. It's all dependent on you and how quickly you move through material. So when you get it, sell it. I wouldn't be stockpiling this material. Prices are pretty good right now. So I would say keep it moving. Keep your cash flowing. Andrew, welcome. Great to have you here. Andrew Powell is from New Zealand. So great to have you here. We reach around the world. It looks like we have Leandro's from Argentina. Am I reading that right? So that's really cool. Great to have you here. All right, so I don't know, is anybody buying gold right now? I'm not, but mostly I'm not buying gold right now because I'm developing my cash position in preparation for my move, which, by the way, if anybody's paying attention, I've got 110 days remaining in Shark Cage 2.0, and then we need to find a new home. We are headed up to the mountains, and Mr. Shark and I are going up there later on this month to meet with some potential business partners and meet with a real estate agent to start looking over some stuff. So the wheels are starting to turn. It is moving on here. So exciting, nervous, all of that kind of stuff. All right. So, Simon, welcome. Simon is saying that he buys CPUs and ICs. So, yeah, okay. That's kind of buying gold, right? Just, uh, you know, uh, a little bit different way of buying it. So that's very cool. Daniel Winger, small yard near me. The owner told me that he's raising prices next month. Hinted he wanted me to hold and bring it to him until then. Oh man, that is great to have that kind of insider information, Daniel. Please let us know how that plays out for you. It's always great when you know the owners or a manager well enough that they're willing to give you that kind of information. That's super. And congratulations on developing a relationship like that with the yard. So very good there. Truck Fan says he's from Norway. Very cool. Man, we got people coming in from all over the place. I wonder where Scrapping Irish is from. Oh my. So let's see. Oh yeah, you're Plain Scrapper. Welcome. Great to have you here. Yeah, the shark migration is, we're doing what we're doing, right? We've got somewhat of a plan, and we're executing along here, moving down the road. So we will keep everybody informed as we continue to progress. All righty. Well, we are now going to talk about our safety note for the day, and this one, I like a lot of the safety things that I do. This one was somewhat from experience this week, but you all kind of saw that a little bit on my last street scrapping video on Friday. Now, you may not have picked up on it directly, but you may have picked up on one of the scenes where I was going to pick something up, and I made the comment about the street not being even. And what was actually going on was there was that section of the road, the curb, or the edge of the curb drain is maybe an inch and a half from the street, and the street was kind of cracked down a little bit. And so, because I'm looking at the scrap and walking towards it, my one foot kind of twisted off to one side, and I had to catch myself there a little bit. And that's when I made the comment about the street not being level. But that drove home the point to me, the importance of having good footwear on, especially something like a work boot that supports your ankles and that helps keep you stable and firm when you're walking on uneven ground. Now, in addition to having some ankle support, E-Waste Joe, Earl Fowler, welcome. Great to have you all here. So in addition to the ankle support that a good set of boots will give you, you've got the protection for your feet. So you always want to have a steel toe or similar kind of protective covering over your toes. A lot of the work boots these days will come with a steel or a Kevlar last. So the base of the shoe will have something to help protect you from nails sticking up or screws sticking up into your foot from underneath. And I don't mean to put anyone on the spot here, but Roger, our good friend Roger, had a rough go around, and I think he was even wearing boots, but he had a nail got stuck in his foot, and he ended up in the hospital for a few days because of it. So having that good foot protection is really important, both to protect your feet from penetration wounds, to protect your toes from things falling on them, so crushing injuries, and then protecting your ankles and supporting your ankles so that you don't twist and sprain an ankle or something worse, because you can imagine how bad that can get if you're carrying something heavy and you step in a pothole or whatever. So very, very important that you have good work boots on to protect your feet. Now, what still just amazes me is I show up at the scrapyard and I will see people there in Hawaii, we would have called them slippas, People refer to them as flip-flops, sandals, right? So, I mean, it's literally nothing but a skinny rubber pad underneath your foot with a, strap around your toes, and they're handling big pieces of scrap in a scrap yard around the shred pile where, sometimes even good heavy duty truck tires are getting stuff in them. So I don't understand what those people are thinking. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Now, I do see folks also in tennis shoes, and at least with tennis shoes, depending upon the shoe, you may or may not have some ankle support, but you're not going to have any protection against puncture wounds or things crushing your feet. But at least maybe you'll have a little bit of protection from scratches or something. So, yeah, I agree, man. Don't scrap in Crocs. But look, we see this all the time. You see the videos. You see a lot of scrappers who are out there. Some of them are wearing Crocs. Some of them are wearing tennis shoes. It's a risk that just to me is not worth taking. I would highly recommend. I do highly recommend get yourself a decent pair of work boots. They're not terribly expensive, and they are so worth the protection that they give to your feet. All right. Let's see. E-Waste Joe, my previous trucking company was self-insured. The first year they issued ice cleats for free. They saved $35 million in slip and fall injuries. That's very cool. Very cool. That's the kind of stuff that, those are companies that I can get behind. I can respect that kind of stuff, right? You want to make sure that your people are protected. I was once the chief operating officer for a small logistics company. We had crews that were loading and unloading cars on railroad trains, and we had a policy. I mean, we provided uniforms, and we had a policy of helping them purchase proper foot protection. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Yeah, Simon, wearing eye protection, gloves, mask, PPE is very, very important. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Now, it is time. I don't know that I'd ever had anything that you might call a blooper with ubiquitous wire shelving. I mean, it goes in the truck and then it gets thrown out of the truck. Can't think of anything that would have ever been a blooper with it, though. All right, so we are now moving on to our industrial metal of the week, and this is copper. So we are using, I like this site now. I've used it a few times, Trading Economics. I like the way the charts play out here. Now, unlike with Kitco, where I could get the inventory charts as well as the price charts, I've had a hard time finding a good place like that. And I don't know why Kitco changed their website, but they're not providing that information anymore. At least I haven't found a way in yet. So we'll see. For the time being, though, this is a really cool chart that Trading Economics gives us here. We can see that for the week, copper's down. I mean, remember, I've got the candlesticks going here. And as we zoom in here to the last few days, the green candlesticks mean that the price closed higher than it opened. The red candlesticks mean that it closed lower than what it opened. And so what you can see here is red. If we look at the week, what we can see is the red just really stands out. Plus you see this whole slope heading down. So yeah, that's not a good thing. We're just not liking that. We're going to zoom in here. And this is also a little bit telling. When you see the needle part sticking up, that tells you how high it got sometime during the trading point, but it closed there. So you can see that we've just still got a lot of churn going on in the copper market. And unfortunately, that churn is trending down. Here's our 1 month look. And even though we had some climb, it's this you can see right here, dropping for the 6 month. Just a lot of churn, right? Look at all that churn, ups and downs and ups and downs. There's churn within the churn going on in copper. So what we're really talking about here is, China is just not consuming copper the way it used to. So that's had what they refer to as headwinds. It's slowing down the pricing, slowing down the consumption. I've been reading some articles about how a number of the companies in China actually have excess inventory of copper built up now because they're not consuming it as much as they should, or were consuming. I don't want to say should, but were consuming it. So the slowdowns in China, the economic challenges that China is facing have really hurt the consumption of copper. And the strong U.S. dollar is also causing some challenges because when other countries are trying to buy copper, a strong U.S. dollar makes it a little bit more challenging for them. So all of those things are contributing to challenges in the copper market. And adding to that, the electrification cycle is going through a little bit of a downslope right now. It took off really strong, kind of dropped off a bit. So as we have discussed for a while now, the copper market is stuck between these two major kind of cycles, with the falling off of the China-driven cycle, but not quite surging or getting strong enough in the electrification cycle. So copper is just churning, and unfortunately right now it's churning down. Let's see, Mike was saying right here, his yard dropped from $295 a pound to $285 a pound in a week for number 2. Yeah, my yard went down too. I noticed that this week when I brought some in. So that was a little painful. So it's copper, is just we're gonna be in a bit of a challenging situation for copper. Here's the year, and again, you see that we're down. We're down for copper. So, all right. Now, what does this mean for us in the scrapping world? My argument, my position on this, and Homer's saying they just lowered their copper prices where they work. Okay. Yep. So what I'm doing is what I have always been doing, with a minor twist. When it comes to copper, I always keep 10% behind as my strategic reserve, and then the rest of it I sell to meet my cash flow. So I am still doing that. However, because I am getting ready to relocate the shark cage, I also am starting to think about what I'm going to do with that strategic reserve of copper. So I haven't sold off my strategic reserve. I've still got it sitting to the side. You saw some of it in a recent video where I was demonstrating the Stripmeister wire stripper that I have. So I'm probably going to hang on to my strategic reserve and just move it with my tools and shelving and stuff like that up to the new location. There's no reason for me to really sell it. And given what it's going to cost me to relocate the shark cage anyway, I might as well just take it with me. It's not like I have to fill a semi truck or something like that with copper. Oh boy, wouldn't that be nice? So we are, I think I'm just going to continue to hang on to my strategic reserve, but keep selling my insulated copper wire, my lower grade coppers. And truck fan, this is answering your question: is copper a stackable metal? So as I've discussed many times here, I will keep some of my copper behind as a strategic reserve. Some people would refer to that as stacking. I don't really think of it as stacking so much as a strategic reserve. And then I sell a lot of my lower grade coppers in order to meet my cash flow requirements. So yeah, you can stack copper. In fact, our good friend E-Waste Ben even calls some things copper stackers, doesn't he? So yeah, I would say if you have your copper, put some of the good stuff aside if you can. If you have the space, put some of your good stuff aside, and then sell your lower grade coppers in order to meet your cash flow demands. That's a good way to play this game right now, because copper prices are just not anything to write home about in a good way. Maybe write home about them in a bad way right now. I don't know. And it's kind of funny because we frequently hear some of the scrappers on YouTube refer to it. They say red gold, or they poor man's gold or scrapper's gold or something like that when they're referring to copper. And copper's copper, right? It's not scrapper's gold. Scrapper's gold is gold. It's not red gold. It's gold. It's copper, right? It's copper. It's a red metal. It's copper. Gold is gold. Copper is copper. And I don't go down that kind of gameplay. And right now, especially, it's not really true that that there's great value in the copper. So yeah, it's worth more than a lot of the other metals that we scrap. So it's still a good metal to take into your yard and get paid for. It's certainly better than shred. Daniel has just asked off topic. That's fine. We're in between subjects right now, Daniel. So that's cool. Will I have a yard at the new place to buy from the public? So Daniel, good question. I don't know if I'm still going to be buying from the public when I get to my next location. I am giving some consideration of going strictly business to business. The reason for that is 90% of what I do anyway has been business to business. And I stopped buying from consumers or peddlers about 3 months ago, when the local police came in and said, you need to start doing the fingerprint thing. And that's because the equipment, the software that was necessary to support the fingerprinting and the photos and the descriptions and all that kind of stuff was just ridiculously expensive. Now, depending upon which county I set up in North Carolina, I may or may not need to make those investments. So that's a part of it. But also, because so much of my business has been on a B2B basis anyway, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily be open to the public. Now, there's also the difference between a yard like, the classic scrap yard where you can pull up anytime during work hours and dump off your stuff and get paid, and then a by reservation kind of yard, which maybe I might still do that, where you call ahead and say, hey, I got a bunch of stuff I want to bring in, let's set up an appointment. So the short answer is I'm not sure, but I'm working on the idea. I'm trying to make a decision on which way to go with that. A lot will depend on the business relations that I set up before I get there. I may find that I have plenty of business to keep me busy and going without having to also then be open to the public, which adds other levels of challenges and financial burdens and things like that. Good question, though. Real good questions. All right, so we are on to our business note. Before we get to the business note, I did want to share this. Some of you may recall I did a video recently where I scrapped out a security device that had a number of 6 terabyte hard drives in it. I was able to test these. Let me get you a little better look here. So I was able to test these, and they're working great. One of them was completely empty. The other one had about a terabyte of stuff on it that I'll need to clean out. And the other one was also completely empty. So these are going to be really useful because I generally use about 4 terabytes a year to keep all of my backups where I just save all of my raw video, all of my process video, all of my work in progress, notes, things like that. It's just, I back up everything throughout the year. Normally that's about 4 terabytes. So there's plenty of space on here for me to be able to use these and not have to buy a new hard drive for a couple years, maybe. Now, the nice thing about what I've been doing is because what I've been using for my backups are these little guys, right? So this is just a little Western Digital 4 terabyte, it's very clean, small, just plugs right in. So that's a very convenient tool for me to use for my backups. With these, I have to plug them into the external port, which is fine. It's just a little bit of a it's bigger, it's bulkier, it's a little bit more inconvenient, just a little bit. But hey, it's 6 terabytes and it's free, so I might as well take advantage of it, right? Just wanted to get everybody a feedback on that because some folks had asked about that, and I had tested them and they're working. So, that is really cool. That saves a bit of money and is a good way to reuse material rather than scrap it. All right, so our business note for today is, it's going to sound a little bit weird, but it comes down to this. Are you getting paid? So what I mean by that is, and I'm going to use the example of BoardSort here because I mail packages to BoardSort in order to take advantage of them paying more for higher grade boards and components. So what I have to make sure of is that I know what packages I've mailed to BoardSort and where we stand in getting paid, and did I actually get paid, and did I get paid what I thought I was going to get paid. Now I'm just using BoardSort for the example because BoardSort is really good about the way they deal with us, the way they help us to track this. So when I fill out the initial invoice with BoardSort, when I go to sell the material, before I even ship it to them, I go into their website, I put in what I'm going to sell to them, and then I get the receipt from them that says, here's what you said you're going to sell to us. Here's what we said we're going to pay you for it. And then they have shipping instructions on there. When I enter that into my Excel spreadsheet, for tracking this, I put it in yellow. So I put the whole line there will be in yellow. And then when I ship it, then I will change that yellow bar so that just the end of it, the part that has the final value and the BoardSort name, are in yellow. That way I can look at my ledger at any time that I want, and I know I've shipped that package to BoardSort. When BoardSort gets the package, I will get a confirmation from them that they have the package and that they're going to issue me a check. When I get that email from BoardSort, I change it from yellow to a light green color. The light green color tells me that I have received the confirmation email from BoardSort, and I will adjust the pricing if I made a mistake somewhere. They'll let me know if they've upgraded boards, downgraded boards, those kind of things. But then I can tweak the pricing to make sure that that my number is accurate. When the check arrives here in the mail, because they'll pay you either with PayPal or a check, I'm in no hurry. I just have them send me a check. So when the check gets here, I deposit the check in my bank, which my bank is really easy. All I have to do is take a picture of it. It's there. So when I take the picture, when I deposit the check, I then turn that line into a dark green color. Now I know whenever I look at my ledger what the status is of every package that I have sent to board sort. And I can tell right away from looking at the colors what the status is. I do the same thing with a couple of other buyers where I am shipping material to them and waiting for them to pay me. Because that's a good way for me to know what the status is right away when I look at my ledger. So if you are shipping material to someone and waiting for them to pay you, you'll want to have a definite way of making sure that you're tracking that, because we all get really busy. It's easy to get distracted. And then a few months down the line, it's like, oh, wait a minute, didn't I send something to, what did they do with that? Oh yeah, hey, wait a minute, did they ever pay me? Did I get what I thought I was supposed to get paid? So it's just a way for me to avoid having that kind of stuff go on. Use whatever tool you want, get creative. Excel spreadsheets are fantastic for the vast majority of us that are small businesses or hobbyists that are doing this. We don't need the fancy software that the scrapyards are using to track all this stuff. We can do just fine with Excel. But I do recommend that you get some sort of Excel spreadsheet set up so you can track this stuff. Now, the other good things that comes from this is that every time you sell your material to your local yard, you're going to get paid right away, usually. Now, some locations, they have no choice but to either write you a check or do an electronic transfer. All right, so I know that in some locations you have no choice. It has to be an electronic transfer. Technically, here in Florida, if it's over $1,000, they have to give you a check. So there's another example where you'll want to track, especially if it's electronic deposit, because you'll get your pay stub at the yard. Then you can go back and you can check your account and make sure that the money actually got put into your account. So that's another important thing that you want to track. But the other nice thing about having an Excel spreadsheet that you're using as your ledger is you can always look at changes in the pricing from your yard, and you'll be able to see, hey, wait a minute, the copper went up, copper went down. What was copper a year ago? Those kind of things. So use something like an Excel spreadsheet, track what you're getting paid, make sure you're getting paid, and see if anything is changing or if there's any differences going on in there. Now, of course, if you're selling stuff on eBay, it's an entirely different, you still want to track it, all right? I still put my eBay stuff on the spreadsheet, but with eBay, it's a little bit different, right? Because the person has to pay eBay before you can close the deal. Then the rub becomes if they get it and it's not working or it's not what they thought it was and they want a refund, you still have to be able to track all of that. So really important to make sure that you are keeping track of, are you getting paid? All right. Any questions? Let's see. How has the conversation been playing out here while we have been chatting away here? So Truck Fan wants me to sell the those hard drives. I'm going to use the hard drives. I'm not going to sell them. Anyways, Jill is saying retirement communities want the month to put up deceased people's electronic outdated computers scrap. They also have large and small appliances. Yeah, you want to check with those. I actually have a couple of communities where we hold recycle pickups, where I'll come into the parking lot, I'll set up shop right in the parking lot, and people can bring stuff down to get rid of their electronic scrap. So yeah, that's definitely something that you may want to take a look at if there's retirement communities around you. We happen to have a lot of them here in Florida. Oh man. All right. So Homer's Reluctant Odyssey says he's using PayPal, which is cool. Yep, nothing wrong with that. I figure I give PayPal so much money anyway, I might as well, not let them get any more money from me as a result of a PayPal transaction when I can, when a check works just fine because I'm not in any hurry. All right, now it is time to get on to our stock market discussions for this week. And these stock market discussions are being brought to you by your questions. You guys asked about this. And what's really funny is the questions about them were for companies that all came in on this recent edition. So this is the Value Line Investment Survey. I get this once a week. This is edition number 1 or issue number 1. So we've recycled. And what you're going to see is that the tracker now goes out to 2005. So they're forecasting out to 2005. And there were 4 companies that folks had asked me about in recent live streams that just happened to be on this edition. So let's get right into it. We are starting out with NextEra Energy. So this is a electric utility out here on the East Coast of the US. Their ticker symbol is NEE. Their dividend yield is 3.5%, which is really nice, all things considered. And that's as of the 9th of February. That's on $59.57, which is not a bad place to buy in. So it's not among it's more expensive than some of the other stocks that we've looked at, but that's not a bad price. And it's an electric utility, so they're pretty safe stocks. Now, as you can see, they're not qualified for cash flow or earnings per share. When I say qualified for me, what I'm saying is that they have to have 17 years of increasing cash flow per share, earnings per share, or dividends per share. And they have had 17 years of increasing dividends per share. You can see that right there. I call them a div zero because they've had 0 defects on their dividend payouts. And this is what it looks like when you look at them graphically. So real nice upward trends here. And in fact, you can see that their cash flow cash flow per share and earnings per share, they actually dip below the straight line up, but they climb back up again here since 2017. They've been recovering, which is nice. And their dividend per share is also coming up nicely. And I've just made it a really fat line for no particular reason. So Southern Company is a very interesting company to look at for investing. Now, if you look at this, you can see that they haven't had that many troubled years. So not too many cash flow or earnings below the 0 line, in year-to-year changes. So that's good too, because that means they're not terribly volatile. And, that's what you want with a utility company. You don't want volatility. You want it to be relatively smooth and have, some good dividends pay out from it. And that's what the utilities should be giving you if you're going to invest in the utilities. So NextEra is a good company to consider. And I gave away the next company, Southern Company. Southern Company is also a electric utility, East Coast. Their yield is actually 4.1%, which is even nicer than NextEra. A little bit pricier at $69 plus a share, but you're getting a little more yield from them. Southern Company is also not qualified by cash flow or earnings per share, but they are a div zero. So 17 years of increasing dividends per share. And that is very cool. If we look at them graphically, we can actually see this is a real nice smooth curve. I mean, compared to NextEra, their curve is much smoother. Here, let's take a look at if we connect the dots. That's a little bit better even than what we saw with NextEra, because it wasn't way below the straight line and then had to catch up. So really nice. And then on the dividends, that just looks like, it almost sounds to me, because look, that's almost a straight line. So it's almost as if the board of directors, the owners there the board of directors at Southern Company, I keep getting these confused, I apologize. But it's like the board of directors at Southern Company is saying, look, we're going to pay 4% dividends. We're going to pay 4% dividends. That's what we're going to pay. Every year, we're just going to keep moving it up. And we get this nice straight line. I've heard a number of people that really like investing in Southern Company. I do not own any shares in Southern Company right now. If I was in the acquisition mode, Southern Company would definitely be on my list to consider. If we look at the year-to-year changes, we can see that they only had these hits here that would have been, a little bit challenging, but that's fine because overall they're doing really well. So I would say if you're looking at investing in a East Coast utility, give Southern Company a good look. Solars, great to have you here. Don't worry about coming in late. No big deal. No big deal. All right. So those are the two utility companies on the East Coast that some folks had asked me about and that we were able to take a look at. Now, the other two companies, we go to a vastly different industry here. We're talking major league difference. Here's a company that I think all of you know. You all know Caterpillar. Now, you may love Caterpillar. You may hate Caterpillar. You may love to hate Caterpillar. Hard to say, but this is definitely a real nice look at what's going on here with this stock. Now, let us go in here. I want to take a look at something on Caterpillar real quick. So we had, wonder what happened here. Oh, I know what happened here. I just noticed that these numbers didn't look right to me. So, got to fix this real quick for everybody. So 2003, these are forecast numbers for Caterpillar, and this got changed to 25, 25, 25, and then their earnings. So their earnings got changed to, look at this, you're getting real-time updates here. And all right, and then their dividend, 2020, yep, okay, and their, wait a minute. Doing this one up, didn't I? This should be 20.5. This should be 21.1. And I got to fix this. Look at this. You're getting a really cool lesson in. Nope, that wasn't right. There you go. Spreadsheetology. Some lessons in spreadsheetology. I don't know why this didn't update before when I was doing this. I obviously typed in something wrong when I was updating these charts. So I'm glad I noticed this because I wouldn't want to be giving you all bad information here. And make sure that that is, see, something's wrong here because we clearly have a change from this. So wait a minute, go here, we go copy, we go like this, we go like that. Got to check the spreadsheet. Something's goobered up here. Something be goobered up here. Anyway, Caterpillar, good company. 1.7% though, nothing to get excited about. And $303. Yeah, that's really expensive. So I don't know about you all, but I can't afford $303 a share. So, it's a good, strong company. They're going to have some challenges because of slowdowns in China. And China used to, use a lot of Caterpillar equipment in all of the mining that's going on. Plus, mining around the world is, having some challenges. And Caterpillar makes a lot of that big, heavy equipment that gets used in the mines. So there's definitely some challenges going on for Caterpillar with their future. They're facing a lot of headwinds. So even though they're qualified, I would be a little bit cautious in purchasing Caterpillar stock. And I got to go back and find out what's going on with the spreadsheet. I'm not going to do it online. That would be silly. Cummins is the other company that had come up in a previous discussion. Now, Cummins is they design and manufacture the diesel engines, natural gas, electric, hybrid powertrains, and powertrain related systems and controls and fuels and things like that, right? So they tend to be in a lot of the great big tractors and trucks and backloaders and bulldozers and things of like that, right? So Cummins, 2.8% on $240 and some change, almost $241 a share. Again, that's pretty expensive. It just, you're absolutely right. It is Cummins. So I got to fix that. We'll have to change that over in the main spreadsheet. So, the advantage that Cummins has is that people have older equipment. They're going to want to maintain that older equipment. They're going to replace engines instead of buying new machines. So Cummins is a good potential candidate, but this yield isn't great at 2.8%, and this price is pretty expensive. They're facing some headwinds as well. Having said that, though, they are qualified as a Div 0, so they've been increasing their dividends every year for the last 17 years, actually longer. So, if you're one of these people that just really wants to be in on the big heavy equipment stocks as part of your portfolio, maybe Cummins is the place to look. I think there's better places to put your money, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, the electric utilities that we just talked about would be better places to park your money to get your dividends, because this is an expensive stock. You can see it's a very volatile stock here. I mean, just look at the volatility that's going on here I am just having a heck of a time today, aren't I? Look at the volatility that's going on here with their cash flow and their earnings. Do you want to really stomach that kind of volatility when you're talking about a dividend stock? Not me. Not me. I may like their product. I may like Caterpillar's products, but that doesn't mean that I love their stock, mostly because I am a dividend investor and I want nice, smooth, increasing dividends per share without a lot of volatility and without a lot of headaches and concerns. So I just don't know that this is one of the ones that would be high on my buy list. I can I can tell you right now, I do not own any Caterpillar or Cummins, and I'm not buying any this year. Again, that's because I'm consolidating my cash position. Even if I wasn't consolidating my cash position, I don't know that this is where I would be. I just they're good companies. Don't get me wrong; they make good stuff. But from a dividend investment perspective, there's much better places where I can put my money. All right. Well, I got to figure out what's going on with that spreadsheet. One of the I've been doing this for a long time, and these spreadsheets are a little bit, they're a little bit dated now. And every time we change, we go back to issue one. So this issue one, when we go to issue one, it changes to the next year's forecast. So by adding the column for 2025, things shift. And so I got to go back and figure out now if that broke one of the links somewhere from the main spreadsheet where I enter all the data to these detailed spreadsheets where we look at all the data. And that's kind of that's Geek Shark work there. I mean, boy, howdy, that's serious Geek Shark work. So I'm gonna let Geek Shark mess around with that. All right, Reluctant Homer's Odyssey says he bought Cummins at a cheap price, so it's been a great stock for him. Yeah, that's the same. That isn't that the way it is with stocks, right? You bought it. When was the best time to buy it? Well, 10 years ago. Something like that. So, yeah, I'm glad that you got a good deal on Cummins back when it was less expensive, and you've definitely been doing well with it. So, there's no reason for you to sell it until you have to sell it, right? But that also brings up the whole question of when you're buying stocks, what's your plan? What is your plan for your stocks? I'm a dividend investor. I buy stocks because I want to buy them and hold them, and I want to let them keep paying me every month or every quarter. And then at some point, I will change. Right now, what I do with those dividends is I roll them right back in. So all of the companies that I have shares in have an automatic repurchase option. So when they give me a dividend, it automatically buys into more shares, usually at a discount. So I'm getting even more shares. At some point in the future, I can change that over to getting the cash. So then what will happen is every month or every quarter, depending upon the stock and the payout schedule, I'll just get cash in the bank, which is really nice. So that's my investment plan. That's my strategy. That's what I do. A lot of other people have different strategies. They want to buy low and sell higher or high. So they have a different strategy for their stock purchases. Dividends might be a sweetener, but they're looking for the growth that comes out of the stock increasing in value. So there's a lot of strategies as to why people buy and sell the stocks that they have. If you're going to get into it, I would urge you to think through why you want to get into it, what you're going to do, how you're going to invest, how you're going to get your money back out of it, those kind of things. And hey, there's nothing wrong with just saying, well, I'm going to buy it so I can hand it off to my kids or my grandkids or something like that. That's another way to do it too. So lots of really good reasons, but I will just reiterate, I'm a dividend investor. So when you hear me talking about stocks, it's the process that I use to try to make some money off the stock market through dividends. I am not a financial counselor. I'm not a licensed financial advisor or investment advisor. So all I'm doing is sharing with you what I use and the process that I look at when I'm trying to decide what I'm going to buy. If you're going to buy stocks, I highly encourage you to consult with an advisor, a licensed advisor. Do your due diligence, because you can lose everything in the stock market. You can lose every penny that you put into it. And if you play the futures game, well, then you can even owe money So you'll lose everything plus. So I urge you to be very cautious. All right, if you have enabled autoplay, when I close the stream out here very shortly, it's going to take you across the pond, Ireland, where we're going to join Scrapping Irish in process. If you have not enabled autoplay, then I encourage you to please go to YouTube and in the search bar, type in Scrapping Irish. You should see his live stream come up. Join us over there across the pond in Ireland. You never know who's coming up in the panel. We never know which way the questions are going to go. It's always fun. It's always interesting. I will see you over in Ireland. Have a great day.